The planet Xylos hummed with purpose. Towering obsidian structures polished to a mirror sheen reflected the twin suns in perfect symmetry. This was the domain of the Kryll, a species whose very existence revolved around order, efficiency, and the meticulous execution of, well, everything. Each Kryll, a being resembling a bioluminescent squid in a complex exosuit, moved with calculated precision. Their days were dictated by the Grand Algorithm, a planet-spanning AI that optimized every aspect of Kryll society, from nutrient paste distribution to mandatory emotional regulation exercises. Deviations were frowned upon. And then there was Dave. Dave wasn't supposed to be on Xylos. His beat-up cargo freighter, the Rusty Bucket, had suffered a rather unfortunate incident involving a rogue asteroid, a faulty hyperdrive, and a distress beacon that, in hindsight, probably shouldn't have been labeled emergency karaoke request. He'd crash-landed just outside the Central Processing Nexus, a monument to Kryll bureaucratic prowess. Clad in a stained t-shirt that read, I3 Bacon, and cargo shorts that had seen better decades, Dave emerged from the wreckage, scratching his head. "Well, that's just great," he muttered, surveying the alien metropolis. "Guess this isn't Nebraska." His arrival naturally caused a system-wide cascade of minor errors in the Grand Algorithm. The precisely timed nutrient paste delivery was delayed by 0.03 seconds. A Kryll undergoing emotional regulation experienced a flicker of curiosity. The universe, it seemed, was about to be introduced to the concept of organized chaos. Kryll style. The Kryll first officer, a particularly stern individual named Zorp, was the first to approach. His exosuit whirred softly as he extended a tentacle, holding a data slate. "Greetings, biological unit. You have violated Intergalactic Protocol 729, subsection 4, regarding unscheduled planetary entry. State your purpose." Dave blinked. Hi. Name's Dave. And, my purpose? I was kinda hoping to find a bathroom and maybe a decent cup of coffee. That asteroid really did a number on my everything." Zorp paused, the data slate flickering erratically. "Bathroom? Coffee? These concepts are illogical. Your presence is disruptive. You will be processed." "Processed?" Dave raised an eyebrow. "Like, turned into nutrient paste?" He shuddered. "Look, I'm sure there's been a misunderstanding. I'm just a simple space trucker looking for a little R&R. Maybe a working hyperdrive." Zorp's bioluminescence dimmed slightly. "R&R is irrelevant. Hyperdrive repair is conditionally possible, pending evaluation by Engineering Sector 7. Follow me." Dave shrugged. "All right, lead the way, Squidward. But if I start seeing any suspiciously green smoothies, I'm making a run for it." He followed Zorp, whistling a jaunty tune, oblivious to the silent, meticulously organized chaos he was about to unleash on the Kryll civilization. The Grand Algorithm, meanwhile, was beginning to experience existential dread. The first sign of trouble came during the mandatory Kryll orientation. Every new arrival, even crash-landed space truckers, had to undergo a rigorous assimilation program designed to instill the Kryll values of order and unwavering obedience to the Grand Algorithm. This involved a 12-hour holographic lecture on the history of Xylos, followed by a practical exam on proper nutrient paste consumption techniques. Dave, naturally, found the whole thing excruciating. He fidgeted in his assigned bio chair, doodling in the margins of his digital orientation manual. His artistic masterpiece was a surprisingly accurate rendition of Zorp wearing a tiny sombrero. During the nutrient paste consumption practical, the Kryll instructors were horrified to witness Dave commit the ultimate faux pas, adding hot sauce. The Kryll consumed nutrient paste in precisely measured doses, at a regulated temperature with absolutely no condiments. Flavor was deemed an unnecessary distraction from optimal nutritional intake. Dave, however, found the bland, grayish goo rather unappetizing. He'd discovered a small packet of Inferno sauce in his cargo shorts, a souvenir from a particularly disastrous chili cook-off on Space Station Gamma, and decided to spice things up. The resulting explosion of flavor sent him into a fit of happy tears. "Whoa, now that's what I call a party in my mouth," he exclaimed, wiping his eyes. The krill around him recoiled in horror, their bioluminescence flashing red, the krill equivalent of a coronary event. Zorp rushed over, tentacles flailing. "Biological unit! What have you done? The paste! It's enhanced!" Dave grinned. "Enhanced? Nah, just made it edible. You guys should try it. It's a real game changer." He offered Zorp the packet of Inferno sauce. Zorp stared at it as if it were a miniature black hole. This is chaos. Unquantifiable. Sensory input. The algorithm. It cannot process. The incident with the hot sauce was only the beginning. Next came the relaxation period, a scheduled 15 minutes of silent meditation designed to promote inner peace and algorithmic harmony. Dave, however, interpreted this as an opportunity for a quick nap. He promptly fell asleep, snoring loudly and emitting a series of disconcerting whistles. The krill around him, deprived of their mandated silence, began to experience curiosity again. One brave krill, Unit 743, nudged Dave with a tentacle. Dave startled awake, blinking owlishly. "Huh? What? Did I miss the meteor shower?" Unit 743, emboldened by this interaction, made a tentative gesture towards Dave's cargo shorts. "Biological unit," it buzzed. "What are those?" Dave looked down at his beloved, multi-pocketed shorts. These are cargo shorts. They're like portable storage units for all your essential stuff. You got your keys, your wallet, your spare hyperdrive capacitor, the essentials." The krill looked at each other, utterly baffled. The concept of carrying personal belongings, especially in such a haphazard manner, was completely alien to them. Everything a krill needed was provided by the algorithm, dispensed with perfect efficiency, and stored in designated repositories. The whispers began. Cargo shorts, unscheduled napping, enhanced nutrient paste. The grand algorithm, faced with this onslaught of unpredictable behavior, began to generate suggestions, unsolicited artistic renderings, spontaneous haikus about the nature of free will. The krill civilization was starting to unravel, one pocketful of chaos at a time. The krill, as a collective, were not accustomed to the unpredictable. Their lives were meticulously charted by the grand algorithm, every variable accounted for, every outcome predetermined. Dave, however, was a walking, talking anomaly, a glitch in their otherwise flawless system. He was, to put it mildly, unsettling. The Krill High Council convened an emergency session. Holographic projections flickered, displaying data streams, behavioral analyses, and increasingly frantic statistical models, all attempting to categorize Dave's strangeness. "His actions defy logic," buzzed Counselor Zorgan 12, his tentacles twitching with agitation. "He introduces foreign substances into the nutrient stream. He engages in unscheduled periods of inactivity. He wears those abominations upon his lower appendages." Counselor Gleepglorp 4 added, "The algorithm has flagged him as a high-probability chaos vector. It suggests we initiate containment protocol immediately." Containment protocol in Krill parlance meant encasing the offending individual in a rapidly hardening resin and depositing them on a desolate asteroid. It was a simple, effective, and thoroughly unpleasant solution. But Supreme Algorithmic Overseer Xylos 7 hesitated. Xylos 7 was a visionary, or at least as much of a visionary as a being entirely governed by an algorithm could be. He saw in Dave something different, something interesting. "I propose a different approach," he announced, his bioluminescence dimming slightly. "Let us attempt to understand this human. Let us dissect his motivations, analyze his thought processes. Perhaps by understanding his chaos we can learn to control it." The other counselors exchanged uneasy glances. Questioning the algorithm's directives was practically heresy, but Xylos 7's authority was absolute. Reluctantly, They agreed. Thus began the Kryll's ill-fated attempt to understand Dave. They assigned a team of behavioral analysts to observe him, recording every action, every utterance, every seemingly insignificant detail. They subjected him to a battery of psychological tests, probing his subconscious with neural scanners and psycho-algorithmic questionnaires. The results were perplexing. According to the Kryll's data, Dave's primary motivations were boredom alleviation and snack acquisition. His thought processes were described as nonlinear, illogical, and prone to spontaneous digression. His responses to the psycho-algorithmic questionnaires were creative, to say the least. One question designed to assess his commitment to the collective asked, "Would you sacrifice your personal well-being for the greater good of the Kryll civilization?" Dave's answer, "Depends. Are we talking like a minor paper cut, or are we talking about giving up pizza forever?" The Kryll were baffled. What was this pizza of which he spoke? Was it a weapon? A religious artifact? A form of advanced technology? The Kryll, in their desperate search for understanding, stumbled upon the central heating system of the station. This wasn't any normal heating system, though. This was the Thermo-Regulator 5000, a device capable of maintaining precise climate control across the entire station. To the Kryll, it was a sacred piece of technology. Its complex network of pipes, valves, and pressure gauges were seen as a physical manifestation of the grand algorithm itself. Each hiss of steam, each click of a thermostat was a testament to the perfect order of the universe. Dave, meanwhile, remained blissfully unaware of the Kryll's existential crisis. He was far too engrossed in his new hobby, tinkering. After his insightful observations of the Thermo-Regulator 5000, he'd found a new area to improve. He'd borrowed a few tools from the station's maintenance bay, a plasma wrench, a sonic screwdriver, which he mostly used to open stubborn pickle jars, and a device that emitted a high-pitched whine that only seemed to bother the Kryll. His current project? Modifying the station's waste recycling system. To Dave, the system seemed inefficient. It took perfectly good organic matter and turned it into, well, who knew what it turned it into? Dave's idea was to tap into the outflow and create a self-sustaining compost garden. Fresh vegetables in space. Revolutionary. The Kryll watched in horror as Dave cheerfully rerouted pipes, bypassed safety protocols, and generally wreaked havoc on their meticulously designed waste management infrastructure. The behavioral analysts scribbled furiously, their tentacles practically vibrating with anxiety. The algorithm was throwing up error messages faster than they could process them. Counselor, Zorgon 12, watching the live feed, nearly fainted. He's dismantling the bioassimilation matrix. He's going to disrupt the entire nutrient cycle. We'll all starve. Xylos 7 remained stoic, but a flicker of concern crossed his bioluminescent face. He began to wonder if his faith in understanding Dave had been misplaced. Perhaps the algorithm had been right all along. Perhaps some things were simply too chaotic to be understood, too dangerous to be left unchecked. But even as doubts crept in, Xylos 7 couldn't shake the feeling that there was something more to Dave's actions. The human seemed focused, driven. He wasn't just mindlessly causing chaos. He was building something. Increase surveillance, Xylos 7 ordered. I want to know everything he's doing. Every pipe he connects, every wire he cuts. Perhaps if we look closely enough, we can discern the logic behind his madness. The moment of truth arrived during the daily High Council address. Counselor Zorgon 12, his gills twitching with barely suppressed rage, addressed the assembled Kryll. Citizens, the human, the anomaly, continues to defy all logic and protocol. He has tampered with the bioassimilation matrix. He has rerouted vital nutrient streams. He has planted things in the waste disposal unit. A collective gasp rippled through the chamber. Images of Dave's handiwork flashed on the holographic display. Tangled pipes, sparking wires, and, most disturbingly, small green sprouts emerging from what was once a sterile waste receptacle. We must act decisively, Zorgon 12 boomed. Before he contaminates the entire station, I propose we activate Protocol Omega-9, immediate containment, no further chances for dialogue. But just as the council was about to vote, Xylos 7 raised a tentacle. Wait. I request permission to address the council with a revised analysis. He stepped forward, his bioluminescent face glowing with an unusual intensity. I have been studying the human's modifications to the bioassimilation matrix, and I have come to a startling conclusion. He paused, allowing the suspense to build. It appears the human is not trying to destroy the system, he is improving it. The council chamber erupted in confused murmurs. Improving it? How? It's a closed-loop system, perfectly efficient, Zorgon 12 sputtered. Xylos 7 projected a schematic of Dave's compost garden onto the display. He has introduced agriculture. He is cultivating edible plant life. He calls it a salad. A wave of disbelief washed over the Kryll. Salad. The concept was utterly alien to them. They subsisted on recycled nutrients, perfectly balanced and optimized for maximum efficiency. The idea of deliberately growing plants for consumption was absurd. But why? A counselor stammered. Why would he waste precious resources on this salad? Xylos 7 took a deep breath. I believe, and my analysis is still preliminary, that he is doing it for pleasure. The chamber fell, silent. Pleasure. The Kryll struggled to process the concept. Their lives were governed by duty, logic, and the optimization of resources. Pleasure was an irrelevant variable, a dangerous distraction. Xylos 7 continued, he claims that these salads taste good, that they provide enjoyment. He even adds dressings, substances designed to enhance the sensory experience. He projected an image of a bottle of Dave's homemade vinaigrette. The Kryll recoiled in horror. The label read, in bold, handwritten letters, Dave's Zesty Space Ranch. The revelation hung in the air like a noxious gas. The human, this chaotic, unpredictable being, wasn't a threat to their survival. He was simply pursuing his own peculiar form of happiness. And that happiness involved growing plants in recycled waste and covering them in bizarre, brightly colored sauces. The bioassimilation matrix was just a big soilless planter in Dave's mind. The revelation hit the Kryll like a sonic boom. Zorgon 12's gills went pale. Pleasure, taste, sensory experience, these are illogical, counterproductive. We are Kryll. We do not concern ourselves with such frivolous notions. But a ripple of unease spread through the ranks. Some of the younger Kryll, those who had only known the rigid structure of the collective, exchanged nervous glances. Had they been missing something? Was there more to life than optimized nutrient intake and unwavering obedience? Dave, completely oblivious to the existential crisis he had triggered, strolled into the council chamber, carrying a large bowl, overflowing with his experimental salad. Hey guys, lunch is served. I've got a new batch of Space Ranch, and this time I added a little kick. He grinned, holding up a small, brightly colored pepper. I call it a jalapeno nebula. Zorgon 12 recoiled in horror. What? What is that thing? Is it weaponized? Dave chuckled. Weaponized? Nah, it's just got a little zing. Trust me, it'll wake up your taste buds, assuming you guys have taste buds. He offered the bowl to a nearby Kryll, who stared at it with a mixture of fear and morbid curiosity. The Kryll tentatively extended a tentacle and plucked a single trembling leaf. He hesitated for a moment, then popped it into his mouth. His eyes widened. His bioluminescence flickered erratically. He began to twitch. Zorgon 12 rushed to his side. Report, what is happening? Are you experiencing pleasure? The Kryll swallowed hard. It's unusual. A burning sensation, followed by a strange satisfaction. He reached for another leaf. I think I like it. A collective gasp went through the chamber. The unthinkable had happened. A Kryll had admitted to enjoying something that wasn't strictly necessary for survival. One by one, the other. Kryll began to tentatively sample the salad. Some recoiled in disgust, others coughed and sputtered, but a few actually smiled. Zorgon 12 watched in disbelief as his perfectly ordered world began to crumble around him. The Kryll were embracing pleasure. They were eating salad. They were enjoying Space Ranch. He sank into his throne, defeated. "What have you done, human? What have you done?" Dave shrugged, munching on a handful of jalapeno nebula peppers. "Just added a little spice to your life, you know. A little kick, a little salad." The Kryll High Council chamber transformed into a bizarre potluck. Kryll were experimenting with different salad dressings, comparing notes on the optimal leaf-to-dressing ratio, and even arguing about the merits of various space-grown vegetables. Kaiti, revolution had begun not with a bang, but with a bowl of salad. Generations later, Kryll children would learn about the Great Salad Uprising of Galactic Year 734. They would hear tales of the human, Dave, the culinary revolutionary who liberated them from the tyranny of blandness. Statues were erected, not of war heroes, but of Dave holding a bowl of Space Ranch, his face etched with a mischievous grin. Of course, the Kryll never fully abandoned their rigid structure. They simply adapted. They now had mandatory salad appreciation sessions and nutrient enrichment breaks scheduled into their daily routines. Failure to consume the designated portion of leafy greens resulted in a stern reprimand. And Space Ranch dressing, became a vital component in their rocket fuel, giving their ships that extra zip. As for Dave, he was long gone, presumably off to inflict his culinary chaos on some other unsuspecting alien civilization. But his legacy lived on, a testament to the fact that sometimes the greatest weapon is a well-dressed salad. Maybe, just maybe he knew exactly what he was doing all along, or maybe he was just really, really hungry. The universe, it seemed, would never know for sure.